of the morning, ladies and gents, and welcome to the first installments of Film Fiends Anonymous. It is I, the one and only, Kevin. Now, before we begin, I want to take some time and thank you guys, whoever decided to click and spend some time and listen to me talk today, so thank you. Also, like I said in the introduction video, this was a long time in the making. Probably been at it for about a year to finally get the channel up and running, getting all the equipment I need. So this is a momentous occasion for me, to say the least. So once again, I don't need to bore you guys, but thank you. Alright, so let me tell you a little more about the show Film Fiends Anonymous. The structure is pretty simple. It's going to be broken down to 3 segments to start off with, since this is the first show. And the first segment is, as you can see right here in today's agendas, it's going to be Fiend Facts. And in Fiend Facts, we're going to be talking about movie news, movie topics, anything related in that area. And then the second segment is Box Office Genie, and that's where we take a look at the past weekend's box office results. And the third and final segment should be Film Fictions. And in Film Fictions, we talk about rumors, speculations, all the good, juicy stuff. So that's pretty much how the show is going today. So, all right, now that I gave you guys a quick little breakdown, let's get started with the first segment, and that will be Fiend Facts. Now, the first movie news we're going to be tackling today is the one and only The Batman, which actually started filming this past week. And they're filming outside, and as you could guess, some set pics have been leaked to the internet. They're not the highest of quality, but you could definitely see what's going on. For example, this first one right here, you can see Robert Pattinson on a motorcycle of some sorts with half his face covered. And I'm not sure if that's really Robert or if that's a stunt double, which most likely is. And yeah, it looks pretty interesting. It gives me a little bit of 0-year Batman vibes, as you can see right here. You put them side to side, there's quite a resemblance there. Alright, this is more pics of what looks like Robert Pattinson. This time with a helmet on and sporting the stylish backpack. Yeah, these pics look interesting. I'm really digging the vibe that Matt Reeves is going with so far. This next pic is what caught my attention. It looks like Colin Farrell as Penguin. Now, what makes this picture so interesting and caught my attention and everybody else's attention is the fact that Colin Farrell was not confirmed as Penguin before these leaks came out. And to be honest, you could argue if that's Colin or not. But later that day or that week, which leads to the second movie news, Matt Reeves has officially confirmed Colin Farrell is indeed our Penguin in the up-and-coming Batman film. So Matt Reeves, the previous helmer for the last 2 Planet of the Apes films, took to social media, Twitter to be more exact, to confirm Colin Farrell. And he just simply posted, "Wait, is that you, Oz?" ? Pretty funny. So yeah, there goes your confirmation. I know when it was first reported, some people had some issues with Colin being cast as Penguin because he doesn't necessarily look the part. But honestly, I loved it. It was an outside the box way of thinking. And if you really dig deep into the source material, you could see there's a character called Emperor Penguin, which resembles, they could really, that kind of looks like Colin. They could do enough, change his hair color if they have to, make him look exactly like that character. So I love it. I really love it. Very inspiring casting, to say the least. All his castings, to be honest, have been like that. Robert Pattinson is not your typical Batman you would expect, and all the way down to Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, Andy Serkis as Alfred, Kravis as Catwoman. It's amazing. All right, with that out of the way, on to the third news, and quite frankly the most shocking of the day, which is in line with Batman. Christian Bale in talks to join Thor 4. You heard me correct. Christian Bale, Mr. Batman himself. Collider was first to report that Bale himself was indeed in talks to join the cast of Thor 4 titled Love and Thunder. To say that I'm shocked would be an understatement, and not because he's not familiar with the comic book genre, as we're well aware of. It's the fact of his comics after the third Batman. He was quoted saying on numerous occasions that he was pretty much done with the comic book genre. So to hear about 7-8 years after the fact that he's joining the MCU, that's shocking. And shocking in a good way, because I've never heard anybody say talent is a bad thing, and Christian Bale is talented. And of course, us being the nerds that we are, speculation was running wild on who exactly would he be playing. And that leads me into bringing this chart in. The top 4 characters that I think and that I've heard that he's most likely to play, which he's probably not going to be any of them. And first off, we have Beta Ray Bill. Second, we have Gore, the God Butcher. What a nice name. And third, we have Dorio Ager. Okay, and last at number 4 is an interesting one, Carl Borson. And he is actually Thor's uncle. That's why it's so interesting to me. And that also makes him the brother of Odin. All 4 of those are interesting, but if I had to pick not who he would play, but my favorite out of the 4, it'll probably be Beta Ray Bill. Only because I've been a fan of the character for years and years. If anybody picked up a Thor comic, you've read about him and you find him interesting. So that's my pick. Let me just end off by saying it's being reported that he's in talks, not that he's signed any paperwork or that he's officially joined. But once you start hearing terminology of like in talks, you could pretty much bet that he will be joining. It's not necessarily a guarantee, but it's most likely. All right, guys. So that's the end of Fiend Facts, the first segment, which brings us to segment number 2, Box Office Genie. Now, for the past weekend of January 10th to the 12th, even though we do know it actually opens up on the 9th, we are looking at the top 5 box office movies this weekend. And to no one's surprise, a movie that I actually went and saw and was completely taken aback from, 1917. Whew. This is not a review of the movie, so I'm not gonna get too in-depth about it, but oh my God. If you have not seen the movie, I highly suggest you go and give it a watch. And second, Star Wars, still hanging in there with 15 million in the domestic box office. Pretty good, in my opinion. And at number 3, we have Jumanji, The Next Level, another movie which I saw, not this weekend, but I seen it earlier, at 14 million. Number 4, Like a Boss, which I skipped and probably won't be seeing anytime soon, made a pretty respectable 10 million. And last but not least, the Michael B. Jordan led movie, Just Mercy, which was the last film I saw this weekend, and it's a watch. It's very interesting, very good, and very important movie to watch. So I also recommend that movie. And like I said, it's not much of a surprise that 1917 is number 1 in the box office, especially with the recent hype that it's been getting. It took Best Movie at the Golden Globes, and it also won for Best Director for Sam Mendes. So as you would expect, the hype was, very high, and of course it came out at number 1. And Star Wars still hanging in there, not a surprise. It's a big blockbuster. It's the last of the Skywalker saga, so it's gonna have some legs. It's Star Wars. But what I find most interesting that it's not in the top 5 is also a movie that opened this weekend. It's Underwater, the Kristen Stewart led film. I did not watch it because my time is very limited, and I already saw 2 movies in the theater. I still plan to watch it, but it only came up with 7 million, which is pretty shocking, especially on a $50 million budget. So that's a bit alarming for the studio. Knives Out is still hanging strong in the top 10 at number 9 with 5 million. That's a surprise, but well warranted. And Uncut Gems just falls out of the top 10 at 11 with 3 million. Very good movie. Adam Sandler at his finest. It's not for the faint of heart, because that movie will drive you insane. If you have anxiety attacks, you might want to skip this one, because it'll set them off. And that was a quick recap of this weekend's box office results. Now on to the last and final segment of the day, film fictions. And this is the juicy one. This is where we talk about rumors, speculation, a little bit of gossip, all that good stuff. Movie related, of course. And first off, we have the Flash director, Andy Muschietti, confirming that his Flash movie that he's working on, the 18th director in the past 16 years, that he's working on a version of a Flashpoint story. Yep, you heard right. Flashpoint, right off the bat with the first Flash movie. I say confirmed, but it's not really confirmed because it's being reported. That's what he said. But I find that a little odd because if you read the Flashpoint comic, or if you even seen the little animation that DC released some years back, you would understand how huge of an undertaking that story actually is. Flashpoint to me is not a story that you start off with your first Flash movie. That in itself is actually a Justice League event type of movie, because it has all of them in there, different versions and variations of the characters, but still, it is a huge story to dig into. And I understand he's saying it's gonna be a different version, but different version doesn't actually equal Flashpoint. So why? What's the point? If you're not able to do the true to form Flashpoint as we all know and love, because that is a beloved story, don't touch it. Just wait. Start off with something new. Start off with, we know the origin of the Flash because of the TV show, but we don't know the origin of this Flash. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Flash origin movie, but starting off with such a bang like Flashpoint or a different version of Flashpoint, it doesn't make sense. I understand, I heard the rumors, because there's also rumors saying that it's Flashpoint because Warner Brothers wants to do a soft reboot of the DC properties, or the DCEU, whatever you guys are calling it. Now, I understand reboots are necessary sometimes, but why this late in the game? So that doesn't make sense to me as well. You're gonna do a soft reboot and what, to explain why there's a different Batman? Is that all you're rebooting? Because you can't reboot Wonder Woman. Everybody loves Gal Gadot. Shazam, critically and fans are in love with the film. It may not have brought in as much money as you wanted, but still it's critically acclaimed. Joker, $1 billion film without even ever opening in China. And you have Aquaman, which is, I believe, as of this moment, is your highest grossing DC film of all time. So what are you going to reboot? It doesn't make sense to me. So do I believe that he's doing a variation of Flashpoint? No, and I surely hope he doesn't. Now on to some more juicy rumors. And this next one is pretty interesting for some folks. The big green guy, the Hulk, and Namor are supposedly going back to Marvel. Yep, that's right. Marvel supposedly has the rights back to both the Hulk and Namor. And if you're asking yourself, the Hulk, I thought Marvel already had the rights to. Nope. You are incorrect, my friend. Marvel had half or a partial rights to the Hulk, and now supposedly they have full rights. So before they could have the Hulk in the movies, they could actually make Hulk movies, but they could not distribute the movies out. The rights were owned by Universal, and now supposedly they got them back. And that is actually being reported by Jeremy Conrad from MCU Cosmic. And he's a very reliable source. I believe he used to work for IGN, and now he's starting his own thing. And yeah, I followed him a few years on Twitter, and he's been pretty spot on for majority of his scoops. Now the real question is, am I buying this? Am I believing it? Is it true? I'm a little perplexed here. I'm of two minds. One, Universal, are they really willing to give up the rights of such a popular character as the Hulk? Yes, I understand they're not getting any money because there's no distribution as of right now, but eventually to give up your bargaining chips that's easy, I don't know if I believe that part. But on the other hand, you have Namor, who's been in headlines for the past year as a villain in Black Panther 2. So in that aspect, it sounds believable to say the least. So do I believe it? I'll give it a thumbs up and say, yeah, I actually do believe it. Only because of the source. Jeremy has been, he's been pretty reliable when it comes to this stuff. So I'll give it a thumbs up, but I'm just not 100% because I'm not sure Universal would really want to give full rights. I guess if you're not using them, then why not? But that's a huge bargaining chip that I could have over a studio's head if I were them. But, I believe it this time. Now on to the final news topic rumor of the day of the show. And it's a very good one. I say the best for last. Now, I don't know if you're a fan of the Sony-Verse, which produced Venom that we got a couple years back with Tom Hardy. If you're not aware, Morbius, featuring Jared Leto, is coming out later this year. We haven't seen much except this picture right here that just hit the web over the weekend. Spot on. Comic accuracy is on point. And the trailer is supposedly coming out today or later this week sometime. But it hit the news for another thing. Now, Dr. Movie News from Twitter is reporting that he has the scoop that J.K. Simmons will be reprising his role as J. Jonah Jameson. You heard correct. Because if this is to be believed, this bridges the gap between the MCU and the Sony-Verse, which honestly never in a million years did I expect to happen. His role is being called a supporting / cameo, but that in itself is huge because I've never thought Morbius would be in any way associated with the MCU, which actually makes sense into why the first Venom was PG-13, because that does makes it a lot easier to connect with other films in the MCU. But as of right now, it's speculation. Dr. Movie News has a very popular Twitter account and a website as well. As far as I know, I'm not 100% sure if he's typically in the scoop breaking business, so I'm not 100% sure of his history. But for him to be putting himself out there, he must really believe in his source and believes they're reliable. Now, that's not the only news that we have about Morbius. Supposedly, Spider-Man will have a presence in the film via wanted posters, thus taking place after the events of Far From Home. Now, this is some huge news. The big question is, do I believe it? Am I buying it? Typically, I would say no. I am not buying it because the MCU has been somewhat isolated as far as to other properties, such as anything Sony related. That's why you haven't heard anything from Venom or any other Spider-Man character. But now what would happen recently with them striking that new deal, that 2-picture deal, in my opinion, I think it sets the table for Tom Holland's Spider-Man to move on over to Sony-Verse, because I believe the last film of the 2-picture deal they have is gonna be a send-off from the MCU, and he transitions over to the Sony-Verse. The Venom-Verse, which I'm pretty sure might be renamed now, with their top dog coming back as Spider-Man. So do I believe it? Typically I would say no, but this time around I'm gonna say yes, just because I think eventually Spider-Man is gonna make the crossover. All right, guys, well, that is the show. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself, because I surely did. And I want to take some time to thank you guys once again for just clicking on and listening to me talk for about 20 minutes now about movies, because honestly this is what I've wanted to do for as long as I could remember, and you guys gave me this opportunity to live this dream. Thank you. And in the upcoming future, the structure of the show will change a little bit, because this is not 100% how I want it to be. I would love for you guys to send in video questions so I could interact with you guys. So towards the end of the show, I'll probably answer a few of you guys' videos. So actually, that would be amazing if anybody's watching to shoot me a follow on Twitter at the Film Fiend, and just send me some videos, just anything movie related, your opinion, a question from me, anything movie topic related, so we could interact with each other. And that's pretty much how the show's gonna go on. And like I said in the introduction, I want to have giveaways for you guys, and hopefully I could get the channel stable and a little bigger, to where every once in a while I could reward you guys, just with some giveaways, because you guys are spending and taking time out of your daily days just to listen to a guy that you don't really know talk about movies. So that's the end of the show. Once again, thank you. It's been real. And don't forget, subscribe, share, like, and comment. It's been real, guys. You guys have a good day. Peace.